Alex Salmond defied Westminster politicians, civil servants and central bankers today, insisting Scotland will keep the pound if it chooses independence. He said George Osborne had insulted and demeaned Scotland by claiming it could not share sterling. And he said those tactics would make the Scots more likely to vote, that the vote would go his way. But his independence plans are facing more questions, this time over whether Scotland would be able to join the European Union. That prompted David Cameron to describe Mr Salmond as a man without a plan, as our political editor Gary Gibbon now reports.
This is the image the No campaign hoped the last few days has imprinted on Scottish voters' minds. Sterling goes with independence, and Alex Salmond lands the Scots some new unknown currency in its place. Scotland's First Minister says that's not going to happen.
To be told that we have no rights to assets jointly built up is as insulting as it is demeaning. To be told there are things we can't do will certainly elicit a Scottish response that is as resolute as it is uncomfortable to the No campaign. It is, yes, we can.
Alex Salmond said Westminster wouldn't dare impose the transaction costs on business that would come from running two different currencies either side of the border. The leader of the No campaign said it wouldn't be Alex Salmond's call.
You can't force two countries to agree to something and one of them doesn't want to agree to it. And the economics don't stack up. It's very clear. So there is no currency union, and that means what Alex Salmond would be better doing is actually spelling out what currency we would have, what would replace the pound, because savers, mortgage payers, businesses, they need to know well before the referendum what currency we'd be using.
Alex Salmond's saying, you, business, won't let those Westminster parties get away with opposing a currency union. They'll fold because the costs of the alternative are just too great. Is he right? Is Alex Salmond right?
I think the costs he's talking about, while not insignificant, are quite small compared to the costs that the Treasury estimated of an unstable currency union. So it's not £500 million or nothing, it's £500 million or many billions of pounds if the Bank of England had to be bank of last resort for the policies of an independent Scottish government. I think the business community would look at that with even greater concern.
Croatia's leaders sign up, the last new members to join the European Union. Yesterday, European Commission President Barroso suggested an independent Scotland could wait a long time for a similar welcome and might not get back into the European Union at all.
I believe it's going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible.
So how do you explain the difference?
Alex Salmond insisted the European Union couldn't reject an independent Scotland.
But not to recognise the democratic will of Scotland would run counter to the entire European Union ideal of democratic expression and inclusion.
It's a good opportunity, though, for me to ask...
David Cameron, visiting flooded parts of Gloucestershire, is hoping the double whammy of attacks on the Yes campaign's currency and Europe plans will pull back wavering voters to the No camp.
He told us that he wanted to have a currency union, and that now looks under threat. He's told us that he wanted Scotland as part of the European Union. That is under threat. And he's making, I think, quite an empty and rather angry speech today. But he hasn't got a plan, and I think people will see that he hasn't got a plan.
David Cameron's calculated that undermining this man's currency proposals outweighs the damage he can inflict, saying it all confirms Westminster doesn't care about Scotland. The next set of opinion polls in Scotland will reveal whether the currency and Europe rows have proved to be critical moments in this long campaign.